engineering, data science, and all of the incredible architecture around digital assets and blockchain to create sustainable resources and conservation for our planet. And Project ARK evolved actually from an initial frustration that we are causing massive amounts of animal extinction around us. And we actually started ARK before the latest NFT cycle. And it's been really incredible to see the NFT world, sort of also become a very powerful market in the last few months. And now we're sort of very ready to tell the story. So let me start with our mission. So our mission is really to use digital assets to help protect and restore the natural capital of our planet. And we want to use also the idea of shared governance and decentralized autonomous organizations to foster shared governance and responsibility over these natural resources. Our vision is that we want to revolutionize the financing and governance of natural resource conservation and also allow people around the world to participate, collectively at the same front lines. So as we sort of thought about, this project, because we're an impact project, we also need to articulate our key values at the beginning. So we care a lot about transparency, care a lot about integrity, and also using new innovative tools. We measure ourselves not only on how much money the project has raised, but also how much impact the project has actually been able to create on the ground in people's lives. And finally, we want to focus on sustainability. And here sustainability means many things. It means sustainability of the project itself. We don't want to be a charity. We want to actually have something that's a working business model. And also we want to have sustainability be the main focus of the impact we want to create. So just to start out with the problem set, I don't know many people fully realize this statement, but we're living through the 6th largest major extinction on the planet. By some estimates, more than 150 animals die each day that are the last of their species. And this is about 1,000 times higher than a baseline rate at which these animals are supposed to go extinct. So this is not a slow burning fire. This is an inferno that we are just unaware of most of our lives. Now, something that we always study in economics is called the tragedy of the commons. And the idea of tragedy of commons is that if there's a shared resource and no one else is fully responsible for taking ownership of it, then everyone will race to the bottom and actually overuse the resource, because the logic is, if I don't use it, someone else will, and I might as well use it before other people take it. This is very terrible behavior that we see happening again and again in natural resource pools, but it's not inevitable. In fact, there are ways to actually change the relationship people have to natural resource pools, and it makes them not want to just destroy it ahead of time. And the final one is, if we don't have ownership over something, then we don't feel so bad when it disappears. And so what we want to do is create a bridge, a link between the digital world and the physical world, and give people the chance to have shared ownership in these ideas. So our solution is to partner with the leading NGOs around the world, especially in environmental and endangered animal conservation, and create rare digital collectibles that actually can change the way that these NGOs can fundraise. And our ecosystem is actually constituted of several parts. One part is the purpose-driven buyers, so people who actually want to collect NFTs, but also want to maybe do something useful with their collection. The second is that we have digital artists who create digital artworks, and there's an incredible amount of artists in our ecosystem. And the final one is the funds that actually are generated. What we want to do is really have that become the place and actually drive value to these people. So on the right hand side, you can see sort of the flow, right? So NGOs define the causes. ARK project defines and curates the artists for the collectibles. We make the art and NFTs together. The NFTs are sold, and then they're potentially resold on other OpenSea platforms. And finally, the proceeds will actually have the way to be finally shared with the stakeholders. So the foundations of ARK project, and what gives us our confidence to do this project, is really that we have a combination of really good technology people. We have incredible project vetting and impact reporting experience from our team. We have a really good relationship with the World Wildlife Fund, which is one of the world's leading conservation groups. And finally, we have a global network of experts in the conservation and sustainability space. So here's a map of actually the world's 17 SDGs. These are the Sustainable Development Goals created by the UN. And the point of the SDGs really is to highlight what are the common problems we will face together in the planet. And you can see that the WWF actually falls under goal number 15, which is around the conservation of land life on land. And it's also our first pilot case. So our ambition really is to be able to work with all the major organizations of the other 17 goals and actually have each one of them satisfy this regard. Now, the impact assessment has the following criteria. So we need first to vet the project itself to make sure that whatever we're funding actually can stand up to the scrutiny and value that we're trying to articulate. Then there's the monitoring afterwards. So once the NFT has been sold and money has been delivered, what is the proceeds being used for? And finally, how do we communicate the impact back to the people who actually hold the impact to the assessment itself? So the institutional partnership with WWF is actually really interesting. It took us a long time to convince them to really work with us. This is actually a pretty significant amount of undertaking. But eventually, we managed to sign the relationship with Panda Labs, which actually is the innovation arm of the WWF. And here, they're actually very keen to create the transparent pipeline between the artwork, philanthropy, and the impact made. And we spent a lot of time working with artists, especially in the Romanian context, to create these beautiful collectibles, these digital egg collectibles that actually have both a rich cultural tradition of the WWF Romania project we're supporting, as well as something that people feel kind of cool owning. And behind the scenes, our actually impact project is doing the following. So we are bringing a new model of community-led conservation that takes the traditional people who would actually be doing harm to the environment because of their need to make a living. So this is people who do biodiversity, so who are hunters and people who basically are taking from the natural resources and actually giving them an economic reason to replenish the natural resources instead. And this project actually is championed by this lady here called Oana, and she actually has been working closely with all of the hunters essentially to get them to modify their behavior in a way that makes sense to them while still being able to make a living. And I think this is really exciting for us because this represents the way that we actually can feasibly scale and implement this across many other domains. And behind the scenes, we have a amazing group of artists, about 20. We selected out of more than 100 artists we came across, and each of them has created their own unique and very beautiful artwork that actually will be hidden in the eggs themselves. So you see the pictures of the gold, silver, bronze, and platinum eggs that you see here. Now, beyond this is our Genesis campaign, if you will. And beyond this Genesis campaign, we also have a pipeline of many other incredible organizations and opportunities working with Emmy award-winning filmographers actually to tell stories that blow people's minds. And we see right now that there are several amazing documentaries coming out. Seaspiracy's the latest one that highlights the urgency of the problems that we face, and they get millions and millions of views. So we are very excited to actually tap into that sentiment and then increase the experience on the art side with LiDAR and VR and AR, actually create immersive experiences for the people attending and collecting these NFTs. And something that's also very close to our heart is actually the Untitled Conservancy, which actually is the first indigenously owned conservancy in Kenya, and which won actually the UN Equator Prize back in 2020. And Johnny, who's on our team and leading a lot of our creative effort, actually worked very closely and sits on the advisory board of this foundation. So here we want to take the incredible, amazing biodiversity of Africa and actually turn that into another series of campaigns. We are very lucky actually to have gotten a great conversation going with Chainlink. And they actually have amazing technology backend to power the existence of dynamic NFTs. So NFTs actually are able to change over time with the use of on-chain metadata. So we really want to embed that into the artwork we have. And here on the right-hand side, you can see this is some of the artwork that we've already made so far for the first campaign. And being able to have that artwork change and breathe and live and die over time, while the natural world itself that it's supposed to reflect also changes over time. And another really exciting partnership that we're very, very excited to share with you all is with Chicken Waffle. So Chicken Waffle is a AR and VR gaming development studio. Their clients include, NASA, Space Foundation, Walt Disney, PlayStation, Samsung, Bose, Leap Motion, Smithsonian, South by Southwest. and they have created a series of AR animals for us that are super fun to play with, and have people give us the chance to do stuff like this. So there's a picture of one of the celebrities from the Academy Awards with a virtual AR lioness that we created with Chicken Waffle. And you can see that she says, "Family, follow and support and learn about Project ARK. They're doing great things for our planet and our animals." So it's really about being able to make people feel very happy and curious and interactive, by bringing the forefront of the digital experiences to their doorfront. And behind the scenes, we think that the NFTs we create can also offer real world benefits, including exclusive opportunities to explore the wildlife that you're helping conserve. And that actually, I think, can build long-lasting ties between the people who actually own the artwork and also the chance to enjoy these things. So from a roadmap perspective, we started back in November 2020. It's taken a long journey to get here. And we hope to have our Genesis drop go live, hopefully by the end of this month. And then be able to complete this first cycle and then continue to work on next ones. On the team, outside of myself, we have Mihai, who actually comes from Romania, and incredibly enough, worked in Kenya and got to know the WWF there. And he used to be one of the leaders of one of the largest student-led volunteer groups in Romania. And then Johnny actually also has spent more than a decade plus in conservation and international development, and also has a lot of passion for this for communicating this impact to people. And behind the scenes, we have a whole stack of people with design backgrounds, communication backgrounds, operations, and also smart contract engineering. And so, I guess just to conclude it all, we believe that we're living through a very incredible time at the moment. The world is in more need of conservation than ever before. And through Project ARK, we hope to actually create a compelling story and actually uses the power of NFTs for social good. And so on the ARK side, once we've designed all of this, the way that we hope to bring other people into the project is through the ARK governance token, which will essentially allow people to participate in key decisions that the community works with, including which art we should actually choose, to what kind of campaigns should we do next, and more importantly, also focus on the actual governance model itself. So something I didn't put in the slides here is actually this incredible story of a lady called Elinor Ostrom, who was the first female to win a Nobel Prize in economics, and her research was precisely around the study of breaking the common resource curse. So how does one actually stop the problem of actually overfishing and overfarming? And what she came up with actually was the idea of a shared resource pool, and the shared resource pool allows people to participate in the shared governance of the resource at hand. And she found incredible amounts of stories around the world of people who actually were able to preserve that particular problem. A little bit background noise here. So we see actually, our mission actually is taking Ostrom's ideas and taking her ideas and actually being able to encodify in the DAO into a decentralized autonomous DAO structure. And I think that's actually going to be a very compelling way to create the impact we want to see. So I'm just going to share with you these two slides. So Ostrom actually is a visionary, and she was a visionary because she started thinking about how to actually break the common resource pool curse before her time, and really before the internet was fully utilized. But we're starting to see some really interesting things happen. So on the left here is a news report of Toledo, Ohio, a town in the United States, actually giving legal personhood to a body of water in order to give it the right to fight back and the chance to actually to defend itself as a legal entity against the pollution being dumped in its own self. And we see this as actually as the beginning of a trend where using DAOs and using legal structures, we actually can embody and make the natural resources themselves citizens in the real world that matters, and actually then be able to sort of have them take a voice and do stuff with their activities. So where ARK is going to go in the future is after we have these NFTs and the NGOs raise the money, we hope to actually place these NFTs into DeFi pools and actually earn DeFi interest that can be an evergreen fund. Instead of drawing from the base principal, you can actually draw from the DeFi interest that actually powers the conservancy of the local resource itself. And I think that can be a very compelling way for people to interact with and build relationships with the natural habitats that we, much less take for granted right now. So that's kind of a big vision of everything where it's going. Very happy to answer any questions that Jenna or anyone else might have. And thank you again for the opportunity to share. I think that the DoraHack community is one of the most global and passionate communities around the world of incredible technologies. And we hope that anyone out there who sees, alignment with their personal values can find a chance to talk to us in the future.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Max. So can I go back to the person you just talked about? She's Eleanor.
Hold on. Eleanor Ostrom. Ostrum. Let me start sharing my screen again. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah, I think that so to me that's a very interesting concept. Eleanor Ostrom. Okay, cool. Yeah, so let me check out the questions. Yeah, so Max, can you also introduce carbon base, like the big picture of the whole company and what technology you're developing at carbon base, which is I think the parent entity of Project ARK, right?
Sure. So Carbon-Based actually is the parent company today. Carbon-Based is I would say it's as a sort of a traditional company, not traditional in our ambitions, but traditional in the sense that we sort of had to raise equity, and it's all sort of like fiat currency based, because our mission with Carbon-Based really is to work with governments and also big traditional institutions to help them take active responsibility in the decarbonization of their personal lives and their footprints. So I'll just start sharing my screen here. There's a website called carbonbase.co. This is our main website. And the idea of the website really is that we want every person on the world to actually figure out what their personal carbon footprint is, and how does that relate to the world they live in. And so in the journey of building this, we actually had, for example, the chance to curate a list of incredible conservation projects around the world. So from Sichuan, China, to Romania, to Chad, Mozambique, Uganda, and part of Brazil. And each one of them, you can actually see the impact scores of what you're actually doing. So this way is animal rainforest protection. It helps support the 8, 13, and 15 SDGs. It's verified by this carbon registry standard, and people are able to offset their personal life footprints by purchasing credits from these projects. And then in order to make people want to purchase projects, we also design a reward system so individuals can actually earn seed points when they actually purchase offsets. They can actually redeem it for rewards. So today, we don't have the ARK NFTs on here yet. These are all very traditional sustainability brands, but we see that as being the natural extension. People actually can earn NFTs. And then Carbon-Based also is working with corporates. So we have a set of solutions for offset partners and corporates to help them actually calculate the emissions for their companies and be able to help them offset that as well. And what I really like about Carbon-Based is this profile system we built. So here you can see my profile. I am currently emitting about 7.3 tons of CO2 per year. And I've been carbon neutral actually for 237 days. And so you can see that I have these interests in renewable energy and carbon sequestration. I have this really fun animation GIF of a sort of calculation of where I am. and also I can see the projects I'm supporting doing the Citron project right here. And other people can sort of sign up to make your own profile as well. So this is kind of the traditional effort, right? And what we hope to do with Carbon-Base is to have this become the back end of ARK in terms of actually, where the source of carbon credits can come from, while actually ARK itself, is bringing the idea of NFT and digital collectibles to the everyday people.
Cool. Yeah. So some people are mentioning another I think it's an older project, the NFT environment conservation project called Wildcard. At Wildcard, those guys are using a mechanism called harbor tax from the radical market to actually trade the tokens. The point of harbor tax is the owners of each of the cards can price the card, and they have to pay a tax every period of time. For example, every month or every year, and the tax will go to the previous owner. The tax will partially go to the original owner of the NFT card, which is the issuer, and they issue different cards for different animals, and then they donate this money to the other NGOs or nonprofit organizations for the actual work. The other feature of harbor tax is it forces a sale. That makes sure if the awareness of conserving some animal is getting higher, the price of the NFT is getting higher. In Project ARK, do you plan to use any of the interesting new mechanism, especially from the radical market, to the trade of the tokens? Because recently I also wrote an article described a simplified mechanism of harbor tax and how it could potentially help open source projects to raise funds using that mechanism. Because Project ARK is a very exciting platform, and many very well-known people have tweeted your events. Are you planning to use any kind of new mechanism to trade the cards?
Yeah, I think that's Wildcards and also Last of Us were the two projects we sort of found that were before us actually doing this. I think that they're fantastic ideas, and I wish there were 100 actually projects with the same mission and philosophy that we're able to do. I guess for us, the differentiation that we see as ARK is that it took us a long time to actually gain institutional support, right? So it's not so easy. It's easy to make NFTs in the world today. It's not so easy to get major institutions in the world to sort of support you and endorse you. So here's a blog post from the WWF website actually talking about the NFT eggs campaign that we're doing with the Romanian hunters. Here actually it's a rendition of the Romanian hunter program and the fact that they're collecting footprints. So I think in terms of actual token economic design, I think it's really important that the future transactions of the NFTs actually can continue to fund the original thing. So instead of actually being a one and done, actually what we're allowing people to do is every time the eggs, or the NFT art gets resold in value, that actually there'll be, a percentage of that will actually go to funding the conservation groups themselves. So here's a few sneak peeks of actually the NFT art that we're creating. And I think beyond that, there's a really awesome organization called Common Stack, which is a sort of research think tank, if you will, that is actually going through and understanding what are the fair launch mechanisms that actually power the conservation of communities using, digital governance tokens. And I think that actually is a really compelling sort of space to be, and one that we want to explore in more detail, because I think that actually allows people to create long-lasting governance models. I'm not sure that we want to force the sale. I think that's a choice made up to the collector himself. But we definitely want to bring the focus of the collectors between the artwork that they own as well as actually the real world itself. I think that actually interplay offers a lot of space for creativity that we haven't necessarily fully explored yet, even in the NFT boom that we're going through right now. So I hope that answers some of the questions. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, let me check if there are any other questions. Yeah. So what is the next step after you finish the Genesis launch, and like after that, what's your plan to bring it to the crypto community and a bigger community, like outside the crypto community?
Yeah. So we've been sort of seeing ARK actually as a living and breathing decentralized community. So today, the amazing partners we've been able to meet and engage with, to us is just the beginning of the journey, right? Like, as we go down, we have a pipeline of 5 or 6, impact projects after this, with pretty incredible sort of social media followings themselves. National Geographic, I think, has like 10 million followers on Twitter. WWF has like 3 or 4 million. So as we create more of these, powerful stories, and we actually continue delivering value to the NGOs we support, I think we actually will have a very fun way to actually engage with the conservation problem. And at the same time, we have, now we have Chicken Waffle on board. We're so excited to actually work with their team to create more immersive AR experiences, so that instead of only having to have a 2D art, you actually can make NFTs. We can make NFTs that actually are living and breathing in the 3D space. So I think that's the sort of next step for ARK itself. And then beyond that, I think the idea of dynamic NFTs tying the physical world and the real world together, offers a very wide range of potential. So we have musicians, actually, especially people from people with like incredible sort of artistic followings, coming out of the Oscars presentation we did, who have their agents and managers reaching out to us and saying, hey, can we collaborate on something on one of these as well? So stay tuned, I guess. And in the meantime, we would love to really dive into the idea of designing a very useful governance token for the community, so that we might actually be the first project to allow major NGOs to be stakeholders of the project. And we haven't discussed in detail with the leadership at WWF yet, but I am hopeful and optimistic that they may see holding ARK governance tokens as actually a part of how the Panda Labs community continues to engage with the artwork direction we're going through. And I think that would be a really cool, exciting next step for us.
Cool. So since this is a DoraHacks Binance Merchant Hackathon, and Binance actually has its charity branch, and Binance charity is very active in Africa, and they are helping a lot of countries doing charity with cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. So do you think you have any synergy with the Binance charity in the future? And what would be that?
Yeah, actually, we've had earlier conversation with actually some people from Binance. We think that their impact work is really admirable, and we sort of share a love actually of helping developing countries realize the promise of digital assets for international development. So I personally would love to find more ways to work with the Binance ecosystem, especially as they're launching their own NFT marketplace, and actually have ARK kind of be a exciting way for the new users of the Binance NFT platform to participate in the meaningful, we call it the social impact NFT space. And also, one of the big concerns that we've heard a lot of people say actually is the carbon emissions of Ethereum. Actually, when we make these NFTs, we have a lot of responses from conservation groups who are concerned about that issue. So I think being able to use new and up and coming NFT ecosystems like the NFT marketplace of Binance on Binance Smart Chain and other ones on Ethereum virtual machine compatible aspects. That's the way to go. Like, we want to basically drop the carbon emissions as much as possible and be able to continue delivering impact. So hopefully through DoraHacks we have a chance to build that relationship and have a chance to present at least to some people in Binance these ideas and opportunities.
Okay, great. So we can facilitate that, and I think we're out of time. Yes, I would like to thank Max to present this amazing project, and I think it's super. So from the perspective of a crypto project, if I can call it a crypto project, I think it's very unique. And I think social impact is very interesting, and there are a lot of ideas and new mechanisms in the crypto space that actually could help with social impact projects. And actually, many of the previous economic theories that were not implemented in the real world can be implemented in the crypto world fairly easily. And I think that's also where the potential lies, because we can experiment many new mechanisms and uses to use this in the projects and make the project scalable in terms of achieving the goal of conserving the environment, etc. We have about half a month to go to finalize the hackathon, the DoraHacks and Binance Smart Chain Hackathon in Southeast Asian regions. And if you're a developer or a developer team, you can submit your project to hackerlink.io. And under grants, there is a grant called GHS grant. And if you go into GHS grant, you will see the Southeast Asian hackathon that is ongoing. And you can submit your project there. And this project is under a quadratic funding process. So the community can vote the projects with their belief. And at the end of this hackathon, we will announce the ranks, the winners of the community voting, and we will invite credible and projects with high potentials to DoraHacks community to demonstrate. So within 3 days, we will upload the video of today's 2 presentations to YouTube and Bilibili. And so best wishes to the project, and hopefully we can have a Chinese presentation sometime very soon. Thank you, Max.
Thank you to you and all your incredible team. It's a pleasure working with DoraHacks. You guys are so professional. Really appreciate the opportunity and hope to talk to you guys more in the future. And to all the people watching, the DoraHacks guys are the best. You guys are very lucky for them to be creating such beautiful events for all of us.
Thank you, Max.